So I don't really have much planned video-wise for this time in between Seasick Halloween and Seasick Holidays. So I'm going to take this time to talk about one of my favorite and yet one of the most controversial attractions at Disney. And I'm of course talking about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So let's get into this. So of course, as always, welcome back to Polite Talks, and as I said in the intro, today I'm going to be talking about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Warning ahead of time, this video is going to piss off a ton of great movie ride glazers. So if you're a great movie ride glazer, I suggest you get out of here. Now, a Disney vacation truly isn't a Disney vacation if the Mickey shorts aren't on 24/7 in that hotel room. That's kind of what sparked my love for the Mickey shorts to begin with, watching them in the hotel on vacation before we left for the park in the morning and at night after we got home. That's what truly sparked my love for these shorts. So when I heard that they were getting a ride based off them, I was really excited. However, that year that we had planned to go was also the year that COVID hit, so we couldn't go that year and we had to cancel our plans. The next year, however, we were able to go back, and when I rode that ride for the first time, let me tell you, I was really impressed. And that's saying something because I had also just ridden Rise of the Resistance for the first time, and that's an impressive ride. So I kind of immediately fell in love with this ride, and not just because it's based off the Mickey shorts, but because I think it's so cute and so immersive. You feel like you're actually in a cartoon during this ride. And the thing is, you don't actually get to watch the full short before the screen explodes, because the whole point of the ride is that you're in the short. You don't need to watch it because you're a part of it. So if you've ever wondered what Perfect Picnic would actually look like as a Mickey short, you don't need to wonder, because all you need to do is ride the ride or watch a POV of it, because you're in the short. You don't need to watch the short because you're in the short as it's happening. So it's very immersive in that way. It's also very immersive with some of the effects that it uses, because yes, while it is very screen dependent, they integrate it really, really well into the background. If there's one use of projected faces that I can get behind, it's this ride, because it just fits so well. You really can't tell that the faces are projected, unlike a certain other attraction in Epcot. As for the storyline of the ride, I think it's so cute. I also think it's kind of funny how none of it was actually Goofy's fault. Like, you would think that it would be his fault, but if you really look at it, it's not. The only thing he did was not pay any attention to you the entire time. Even if he had been paying attention, he couldn't have stopped Mickey from hitting the track switch. So really, if you think about it, none of it was actually Goofy's fault. It was all Mickey's fault. But anyway, now there are a lot of effects that Disney has done on rides that have blown me away the first time I saw them. And then I later figured out how it was done, and it wasn't really impressive anymore. An example of that is when Kylo Ren sticks his lightsaber through the roof and starts to cut a hole in it in Rise of the Resistance. That effect blew me away at first when I first saw that. Later I figured out how it was done, and it wasn't as impressive anymore. But still, pretty impressive. But if there's one other effect in the same park that I love, and it blew me away the first time I saw it, the screen explosion on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's so cool how you can't see how it's done because the smoke is hiding it. Now, I'm going to give a brief explanation, so if you don't want to know how it's done, skip ahead to this timestamp. But if you do want to know how it's done, then this is how. So basically, the screen, the pre-broken portion of the screen, that was Belle sneezing in the background. The screen is broken before it starts. And the broken part of the screen is hidden underneath, like, the thing on the bottom. It's hard to explain without, like, a demo of it in front of you, but basically, the screen is already broken, and the broken part is just hidden underneath the boards on the bottom of the screen. And then, when the screen explodes, that part of the screen rises up so that the broken part is visible. At the same time, the boards that hid the broken part slide apart to let you walk through to the other side. And the smoke is covering this all up while it's happening, so you can't see it. at the end, the edges of the screen curl up, and then that's how the whole effect works. So it looks like the screen just bursts open so you can enter the cartoon world. Now, one thing that I definitely can't get behind is the placement of this ride in Disneyland. Because, don't get me wrong, it's perfect. It seems at first glance, it seems like a perfect fit for Toontown. I mean, it's Toontown, it's literally a cartoon, so it fits perfectly. Until you really look at the plot of the ride. Because the whole plot of the ride is that you're not in the cartoon until you enter through the screen. But the thing is, while you're walking through Toontown, you're supposed to already be in a cartoon. So are we just going from one cartoon into another cartoon? It makes less sense. Because at least in Hollywood studios, you start out in the real world and then go into a cartoon. In Toontown, you start out in a cartoon and then go into a cartoon. It doesn't make as much sense in Toontown, although it makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time. If that makes sense. Oh, I said makes sense too much. Now, where this is about to get really controversial is me talking about the placement of it in Hollywood studios. Because if there's one thing that people hate about this ride, it's the fact that it replaced the Great Movie Ride. And don't get me wrong, the Great Movie Ride was a great movie ride. Just don't. And as much as I like to admit that the identity of Hollywood studios is kind of all over the place now, in fact, the identity of pretty much every Disney park is all over the place right about now, but I do think that I kind of like the immersive lands better. I would rather have Galaxy's Edge, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, the soon-to-be Monsters Inc. land. Maybe I would take Monsters Inc. land better if we would move the Villain Show to Villains Land when that opens and put Muppet Vision 3D in that theater. Keep the Rock and Roll roller coaster overlay. And then we can make that into a new Muppet Courtyard. But as it is, I really can't take I'm excited for the Door roller coaster and everything. I'm getting out of the point here. The point is that the identity of Hollywood studios, I agree, isn't the same as when it opened. But I do kind of like the immersive lands better. I would take Toy Story Land over the Backlot Tour. And I hate to say that, but I would take Toy Story Land over the Backlot Tour. So, in my opinion, I like immersive Hollywood studios better. However, that doesn't mean that the Great Movie Ride wasn't a good ride, because it was a really good ride. But the problem comes from the fact that Mickey and Minnie's is better, and people are letting nostalgia get the best of them. Even if we bring back the Great Movie Ride and maybe move Mickey and Minnie somewhere else. Hear me out. Demolish Storybook Circus and bring back Mickey's Toontown in Disney World. And then put Mickey and Minnie's there like it is in Disneyland. Just an idea there, Disney. And while you're at it, replace the Storybook Land canal boats in Disneyland with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Long story short, Mickey and Minnie's is better than the Great Movie Ride, and people are letting nostalgia tell them that the Great Movie Ride was better than it actually was. Like, the Great Movie Ride was fun, and it was pretty much the icon of MGM Studios when it opened. But keep in mind that MGM Studios, when it opened, was really lacking from a ride standpoint. And the Great Movie Ride was like an elite attraction for that park at the time. So it like really elevated it. Like, you have to think that at the time the Great Movie Ride was around, there wasn't Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge, like maybe Tower of Terror was around when the Great Movie Ride was around, but we didn't have Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land. So you have to hold it up to a modern standard instead of thinking about it like the standard that it was at the time. It was the best ride in that park at the time that it was around. But now things have changed, and if it was still around today and Mickey and Minnie's wasn't there, then probably then people would be saying Rise is better than the Great Movie Ride, because it is. Like, if you hold it to the standard of how Hollywood Studios is today, the Great Movie Ride would be nothing compared to Rise of the Resistance, Toy Story Land, and all that. You're holding it to the standard of what it was when the ride was open. For the time that it came out, it was a really impressive ride, and it was really cool to see that ride at the time that it came out. But then, again, keep in mind that that was the standards of when that ride came out, which for the park at the time was not, the standards were not that high for MGM Studios at the time. Like, when I tell you I'm obsessed with this ride, I don't just mean, oh, I know all the words to Nothing Can Stop Us Now. No, I mean I can recite this entire attraction, beginning to end, including background noises and music. And if anything, Mickey deserved his own ride, so. But yeah, that's my opinion on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Leave a comment down below if you enjoyed. Thanks for listening, everyone, and as always, don't get seasick. Bye. Okay, so I know I said goodbye, but if you're watching the video and not just listening to it, I made a demo of the screen explosion to make it a little bit easier to understand, because it's, like, kind of confusing the way I explained it. So basically, these are the two boards. Imagine you're standing here, and this is the screen. It's way bigger than this, but imagine this is the screen, and these are the two boards on the bottom beneath the screen. So when the screen explodes, the screen rises up from the bottom, and so these don't lower, the screen rises, basically. So the screen basically rises from where it was before, so that this part is visible. And then the two boards on the side slide out simultaneously. And then there's the walkway, so you can walk right through. And then these are I already curled these up, but basically afterwards these would curl up the edges on the screen to make it look like it explodes. That's my terrible demo that I used pieces of my journal to do. My journal is completely destroyed because I've used it for random crap like this instead of actually journaling. So, like, yeah.